Imagine a story that begins with famine, death, and heartbreak, but ends with hope, love, and a legacy that changes history forever. This is the story of Ruth, one of the most remarkable women in the Bible. Though her story takes only 4 chapters in Scripture, it contains enough drama, emotion, courage, sacrifice, and divine purpose to fill an epic novel.
As it is
Long
written
ago,
in the great
during
scroll,
the
so shall
turbulent
it be
days when
done.
Israel was
The
ruled by
transgression
judges,
requires...
there lived a man named Elimelech. He lived in Bethlehem with his wife, Naomi, and their 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion.
We have all...
A severe famine struck the land. Crops failed, food became scarce, and survival grew increasingly difficult. Seeking a better future, Elimelech took his family
Mary?
across the border
We can
into
rest
the
soon.
land of Moab.
Yes.
What was intended to be a temporary move soon became permanent. Then tragedy arrived. Elimelech died. Naomi was left a widow in a foreign country. Though heartbroken, she still had her 2 sons. Over time, the sons married Moabite women. One married Orpah, and the other married Ruth.
Careful you don't chop your
For
finger
a
off
brief
before
season,
dinner.
it seemed that life
Don't
might
worry, I'm an
recover.
expert. Pass the bread down
Naomi
here,
may
please.
have imagined
This is the
grandchildren,
best wine
family
I've tasted
gatherings,
in season.
and a
May we
future
always
filled with
celebrate
renewed
together
joy.
under this tree. Pass the
Instead, another devastating blow came. Both of her sons died. Now 3 widows stood alone: Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah. No husbands, no children, no financial security, no clear future. The weight of grief settled heavily upon Naomi's heart. She had lost her husband and both sons. Everything she had depended on seemed gone.
I tell you, the
One day,
craftsmanship
Naomi
from this
heard that
weaver
the
near
famine in
Bethlehem is
had ended. God had once again blessed the land with food. With nothing left for her in Moab, she decided to return home. Ruth and Orpah began the journey with her. As they walked, Naomi stopped
I am
and
more
urged the
grieved
younger
for you
women
than
to
I can
return to their
express.
families.
Go now,
My
find
daughters,
rest.
she said.
We
Go
have to
back.
reach
May
the
God
city.
bless you and give you new homes and new husbands. The 3 women wept. Neither Ruth nor Orpah wanted to leave her, but Naomi insisted. Eventually, Orpah tearfully embraced Naomi and returned to her people. Ruth remained. Naomi tried one final time. "Look," she said, "your sister-in-law has gone back to her people.
Why do you insist on
You
staying
should
here
do
with
the
me?
same."
Where you go, I will go.
Then
Your
Ruth
people
spoke
will be
words
my
that have
people.
echoed through
Do
history
not
for
urge me
thousands
to
of
leave
years.
you, or turn back
Do
from
not
following
urge
you.
me to leave you or turn back from following you. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people shall be my people, and your God,
Please, Lord,
my God.
hear my prayer.
Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. These were not empty words. Ruth was giving up everything familiar: her homeland, culture, relatives, and future prospects, to stay with Naomi. It was an act of extraordinary loyalty. Seeing Ruth's determination, Naomi said no more. Together, they continued the long road to Bethlehem. When they finally
Is that
arrived,
Naomi?
the town
must
was
be.
stirred.
She looks so...
People recognized Naomi and whispered among themselves, "Can this really be Naomi?" Years had changed her. Sorrow had marked her deeply.
Do
Naomi
not call me
replied,
pleasant.
"Do not
Call
call me
bitter
Naomi."
instead, for the
Her name meant
Almighty has
pleasant.
brought tragedy upon me.
Instead, she said, "Call me Mara." Mara means bitter. She felt that life's hardships had stripped away all joy. "I left full," she said, "but I have returned empty." Yet Naomi did
I went
not
out
realize
full,
that she had not
but
returned
the Lord
empty
has
at
brought me
all.
home again.
Standing beside her was Ruth, the woman who would become God's instrument of restoration. The timing of their arrival was significant. They reached Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest, a season associated with provision and new beginnings. Since they needed food, Ruth volunteered to work. According to the laws of Israel, poor people could gather leftover grain from harvested fields. This practice allowed the vulnerable to survive while preserving their dignity through work. Early one morning, Ruth set out to glean in the fields. Under the hot sun, she worked tirelessly, bending, gathering, carrying, and sorting grain. By what appeared to be chance, she entered a field belonging to a wealthy and respected landowner named Boaz. Boaz soon arrived and noticed an unfamiliar young woman among the workers. "Who is she?" he asked. His servants explained that she was the Moabite woman who had returned from Moab with Naomi. Boaz had already heard the story. He knew about Ruth's sacrifice. He knew she had left her homeland. He knew she had devoted herself to caring for Naomi. Deeply impressed, Boaz approached her with kindness. He invited her to remain in his fields, where she would be safe. He instructed his workers not to harass her. He offered her water from the jars prepared for the labourers. At mealtime, he welcomed her to eat with his workers. Ruth was astonished. As a foreigner and a widow, she expected rejection, not kindness. She asked, "Why have I found favour in your eyes?" Boaz replied that he knew of her devotion to Naomi and prayed that God would reward her faithfulness. That day, Ruth gathered an unusually large amount of grain. When she returned home carrying armfuls of food, Naomi could hardly believe it. "Where did you work today?" she asked. When Ruth mentioned Boaz's name, Naomi's face lit up with hope. Boaz was not just any landowner. He was a relative of Naomi's late husband. Under Israelite custom, he qualified as a potential kinsman redeemer, someone who could help preserve a family's future and inheritance. For the first time in years, Naomi saw a glimmer of possibility. As the harvest continued, Ruth worked daily in Boaz's fields. Gradually, mutual respect and admiration grew between them. After the harvest season, Naomi proposed a bold plan. She instructed Ruth to wash, dress in her best clothes, and go to the threshing floor, where Boaz would be spending the night guarding the grain. There, Ruth respectfully approached him and symbolically requested his protection and redemption. When Boaz awoke and discovered her there, he was surprised. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am Ruth," she answered. "Spread your garment over me, for you are a redeemer." It was a humble but courageous request. She was asking Boaz to take responsibility for her future. Boaz was deeply moved. He praised her character and assured her that he would help. However, there was one complication. Another relative had a stronger legal claim to serve as redeemer.
I promise
Boaz
to take care of
promised
you,
that
my
he would
love.
settle the matter immediately.
The
The next morning, he went to the town gate, where legal affairs were conducted.
You would beggar yourself
Before
for this? It is
witnesses and
madness.
elders, he presented the situation to the closer relative. Initially, the man expressed interest, but when he realized the responsibilities involved, he declined. His refusal opened the door for Boaz.
Before all the witnesses, Boaz declared that he would redeem Naomi's family and take Ruth as his wife. The elders blessed the union. The legal matter was settled. The future was secured. After so much suffering, joy finally arrived. Boaz married Ruth. The once poor widow became the wife of one of Bethlehem's most respected men.
Grandson. The Lord
Soon,
has not
God
left
blessed
us
them
without
with
a
a son
redeemer.
named Obed.
Blessed be his name.
For Naomi, the birth of this child brought profound healing. The woman who had once called herself Mara now held her grandson in her arms. The emptiness she had felt was replaced with renewed purpose and joy. The women of Bethlehem celebrated with her, praising Ruth's devotion and love. But the story does not end there. Obed grew up and became the father of Jesse. Jesse became the father of David, the shepherd boy who would become Israel's greatest king. And generations later, according to the New Testament, Ruth's family line would become part of the ancestry of Jesus Christ. Think about the significance of that. A foreign widow from Moab. A woman who had every reason to give up. A woman who chose loyalty over convenience, faith over fear, and love over self-interest. She became part of one of the most important family lines in biblical history. The story of Ruth reminds us that great destinies often begin in ordinary acts of faithfulness. It teaches that kindness can transform lives, that loyalty has lasting power, and that even in seasons of loss and bitterness, hope may be quietly growing beneath the surface. What began with famine, funerals, and tears ended with celebration, restoration, and a legacy that would reach far beyond anything Ruth or Naomi could have imagined. Their story stands as one of the Bible's most beautiful testimonies that even in humanity's darkest moments, redemption can still be waiting just ahead.